Oh my goodness gracious, Shang-Chi's out in theaters. Oh my god, how exciting. I guess it's the new sludge Marvel movie because it's all crap these days. I heard, though, from someone I have a decent amount of confidence in that it's a solid 4 out of 10, which probably puts it in the upper echelons of modern Marvel movie these days. I almost said modern Marvels because of the show. In any case, Shang-Chi, our protagonist, I assume, is the first Asian to ever be featured in a film, and I think that is something that we need to take note of and respect. It's stunning and brave, and personally, I'm glad that we as a society have been able to move past our old prejudices and progress towards a new and brighter, more tolerant, progressive future. So, bravo to all of you, and good job, society. So with all of that established as definitely true, let's go to the tweet in question that I saw that made me raise a brow. I forgot how I found this tweet, but here we go. If you can, Christopher M. writes, please amplify hashtag Shang-Chi reviews written by Asian writers. Now in my brain, now obviously I'm just a horrific, awful, colorblind, filthy moderate, right? And in my ape brain, my Neanderthal brain, I see something like that, and of course, my thought is, why are you giving people preferential treatment based on their race? I was under the impression, and I may be mistaken, feel free to correct me in the comments below, but I was under the impression that that is the kind of behavior that we wanted to avoid as a society. Maybe I'm just still living in the dark ages. Now, I haven't seen the film Shang-Chi yet. I'll get it. Look, I just don't give a crap about Shang-Chi. I don't really care about anything in Phase 4 Marvel for the most part. It's all been horrific garbage so far. We got a few good ones back in the day. We got some legitimately great Marvel movies, but those days are over. Did you know for Black Widow, the movie that just came out not too long ago, the executives and the higher-ups over at Disney and at the Marvel studios, they specifically wanted to keep the male Avengers out of that movie because of, girl power and women empowerment, that sort of thing. Even though it makes no sense in the world that they would not in any way get involved or nobody would come and, help out Black Widow, and with family being one of Nat's huge concerns as far as her character goes. It just goes to show, I suppose, this focus on the identity politics of gender and race. It does end up legitimately affecting in-world events in the MCU. And I think that's something that's worthy of consideration, something I think that we would want to avoid. And when it comes to Shang-Chi and the idea of amplifying somebody's review, not based on how good the review is, not based on how insightful it is, how accurate it is, how meaningful or deep the review is, or how hard the person worked on that review, none of that, nothing to do with meritocracy, but instead amplify the review based on the fact that, well, the writer does share a race with the protagonist of the film, so if that's not a good reason, I don't know what would be. I wonder if Shang-Chi is a character, because I don't know anything about him, really. And let's be frank, no one else does, right? He's fairly obscure. I wonder what Shang-Chi would say to that kind of an attitude if it was presented to him. Is this focus on race, do you think he would take kindly to that idea? If you're an Asian, right, and let's say you get retweeted by him, that's an odd inflection that I said that word in. If you get retweeted by this gentleman, is there not going to be some doubt in your mind as to whether or not you were retweeted because you created something worthy of respect and acknowledgement, or was it just because you, through the genetic lottery, happened to be born Asian, and then boom? That must be a legitimately awful feeling. to always have to second guess yourself when you get into a position or when you achieve some accolade. I wonder if Shang-Chi, the first Asian ever featured in a major motion picture ever in the universe, I wonder if he would approve of that kind of behavior. And if he would, maybe the issue is that we're more fond of racist superheroes. I'm not sure. Because you bet your ass that no one's going to say we need to amplify the articles written by white people, right? Even if the movie, what if the movie, right? What if this was a Captain America movie or an Iron Man movie, right? Should we be amplifying the reviews of the whites? I don't think we should. I don't think anyone should get preferential treatment based on their race. And I've been told it's a very problematic thing to say, right? Because we live in the clown world that we do. I have no hope for Marvel in whether or not it will turn out to be good. Maybe Guardians 3 will be good because James Gunn is directing it. He's done a really good job in the past with the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and for all the flaws that the Suicide Squad had, it had some fantastic character moments in it. Legitimately, the best character moments we've gotten in the DC extended universe, whatever that term even means these days. Let's imagine that this attitude, this article amplification attitude, let's imagine it became extremely pervasive within society, right? And a significant portion of people were deranged enough to see race in that way. It must be odd, the idea that a superhero movie comes out and people automatically know who and who will not have their reviews being amplified because they didn't happen to match up with the protagonist in terms of skin color. That must be that's not a fond thought, honestly. Again, I thought that was the sort of thing we wanted to move away from. If somebody spoke to me, they sent me an email or messaged me and said, "Hey, man, I'm really here to support you because you're now I'm a dog, but you know my owner is a white guy and he's all right." If someone came to me and said, "Hey, I want to support white male content creators, so I'm gonna throw you a bone or I'm gonna give you some dosh on Patreon or whatever," and that was the reason they gave, I'd feel kind of like ugh, you know, like first off. It pretty racist to do, as we said, just exactly with the Shang-Chi review thing. But man, I mean, like, I didn't earn that. I feel like I'd be given something that I hadn't earned. And I wonder if I'm given enough things that I don't actually earn. Does that incentivize me to improve my craft? Whether it's writing reviews for movies, making YouTube videos, or speaking in a podcast, or creating whatever it is that you create. What does that do to the concept of improvement and the whole idea that you need to better yourself? When short anecdote. I guess it's an anecdote. It's a very broad anecdote. But I'll give you a short anecdote before I head on out here and let you guys get along with your day. So, when I was growing up in the wonderful, beautiful 90s, when I was growing up, my parents never talked to me about race. They never did. They never sat down and talked to me about any of that. It just never happened. So as a result, I watched their behavior and the behavior of the people around me. And with my pupperino brain, as I watched the world and the people that I cared about, my role models, who never talked about race and never discussed it, I ended up treating everybody the same. Because that's what my parents did. That's what the people around me did. Race was never an issue. It was never a big deal at all to anybody. I assumed that as a result, the color of your skin was just it was just an aspect of a person in the same way that some people have big ears and some people have small ears, and some people are short, some people are tall, some people have brown eyes, some people have blue eyes, some people have blonde hair, some people have black hair. It was just another bit of variety that humans had. And that was it. It was no more complex and no more simple than that. That was all there is to it. You just treat people like people. And now I feel like this attitude is poisoned. I feel like now, with all of this talk about you are this race, here is your special privilege, you are this race, you operate by different rules than the other people, this kind of attitude, right? I feel like this has poisoned so many people's outlook on others. Nowadays, with all this talk of race and its huge focus and emphasis, when someone looks at someone else, are they going to see a person first, or a black, or a white, or an Asian? Are they going to see a man or a woman, or are they going to see a person first? Will those be things that describe that individual that they see, or will those be the important parts that will dictate the way that you need to speak and behave to them? And if that's the case, which I would not be surprised if it does, right? If because you're planting that seed in people's minds. I wonder if that isn't the kind of attitude that got us into this situation in the first place. Some food for thought. Chew on it as you wish and at your leisure. Don't forget, however, if you can, because I want to plug these, the more that gets sold, the better. We've got over, I'm using the footage from my old video here because it's great and I worked hard on it. I think it looks pretty good. We've got over 2,000 of these sold of both myself and Mahler's plush. That's insane. That is incredible. I'm legitimately shocked. And I'm kind of humbled by the incredible support that these things have been getting. The idea that over 2,000 of these amazing plushies that Makeship has made, I've got one right here that I'm looking at, and it is fantastically high quality. I love it. It is quite the piece. But the fact that over 2,000 of these are going to be scattered across our great big blue marble is fantastic. I love that concept. There's Mahler's right there. If you buy both of them, Rags and Mahler, at the link that'll be in the description, you get 10% off. These are a limited time, and I think they end on the 7th of September, so you're running out of time. Make sure you get them, because after the timer runs out, they're gone for good. So help support me, support the guys over at Makeship, and get yourself a really cool piece of, piece of soft doggo. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you later. Toodaloo.